Welcome to the coast, David. How are you?
I'm good. Good to have you back here. All right.
I know.
Here we go.
I missed you. I missed you tremendously. And from my understanding, you were getting ready to replace me because that's a theme going on in sports.
Yes, that's right.
You're about to put me on the bench.
Especially if you get crushed by the Saints at home the previous Sunday. We got a shake-up. We absolutely do in Buffalo. First, Cari, here's what rookie head coach Sean McDermott said Sunday about his quarterback, Tyrod Taylor.
Even Mike Rodak was saying it feels like in Buffalo, oh, we're headed to another 8-8 season. We're headed to another 8-8 season. So I guess this is an opportunity for him to shake everything up, put a little. He's adjusting to all of these pieces. And yes, there's a glimmer of optimism because Peterman was able to come in with 5 minutes to go, right. 7 for 10, 79 throw,
kind
a touchdown.
Mop up time, though.
Mop up time, and with, you know,
stretch. All right. Amino Hassan joining us here on Coast to Coast. David, back to you. Start NFL analyst Keyshawn Johnson joining us now to talk about it. You said something interesting as David was talking. The 7-2 start that the Vikings have.
Well, because David was like, he got them off to a 7-2 start.
You disagree?
Well, I'm just like, well, I would probably give a
record. Things seem to be going well.
But it could be 1 or 2.
But do you make a change mid-season is what I'm saying. Why not stay consistent? If it's not broke, why fix it?
But it might not.
Telling me that Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer just announced that he's going to stay with Case Keenum.
It's been so bad the last couple of years, Cari.
I know. You're not alone in that feeling. And I was going to say this next 6 games, the Rams will face several teams with winning records, including the other 3 current NFC division leaders. If you had to look at their schedule, what do you think the toughest test ahead would be for the Rams?
I think it's always going to be Seattle. I mean, because going into Seattle, manage to get through and make you feel good about them, they can go to Seattle and win. It's not like they can't. People have done that, but it's going to be extremely difficult.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Keyshawn, weighing in on everything that's happening in Minnesota.
Where's my sunglasses, though?
They gave us a hard rap.
Where's my sunglasses?
I don't know. My bad. Back to you guys. All over the world. Thank you for joining us. Yes. First of all, I want to walk this back. You were in China for a gaming event. You were doing an entirely different story in Beijing, from my understanding, and this story broke. And so the story becomes, you know, obviously international news. Tell me what happened and take us behind the scenes a little bit and how we got to where we are today.
Well, you know what? It was really sort of a goodwill tour.
It's a offense. They were they've been accused of stealing, what, sunglasses?
Sunglasses. Now, from my sources, they stole from 3 different stores. This was a high-end mall. There's a Cartier. There's a Gucci. So
we know that President Trump did intervene. He did talk about that. So now that the guys are back home, there's a 2 p.m. press conference. From my understanding, they are going to face the media, and they will apologize. Do you expect to hear anything? I just want to make sure it's layman terms. They still will be on the team, just not playing or traveling.
I do think it's important to know that at least 2 of these players got their passports specifically for this trip. They are 1 year removed from high school. They are.
All right. Arash Markazi will be at the press conference. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. That will be live on ESPN News. Make sure you guys check it out. And they are kids. I'm glad that you pointed that out. Thanks for joining us here on Coast to Coast. Back to you, David. Who is the one Chicago Bear that Aaron Rodgers says he can't beat? That's interesting. I don't know. But he's going to tell us next on Coast to Coast. Let's head to the Heineken ESPN FC boot room.
I got to believe.
I would agree with you. And I'll say this about these Sixers fans. They sure are. I mean, that guy's name is Derek McKinnon, from my understanding. He was how we were able to get the video. They are loyal, are they not?
They are hanging tough. They really are. And maybe good things are on the horizon for them. So just keep your house clean. And by the way, we got another feature tomorrow. We got a great Thursday night football game, Titans and Steelers. And the feature tomorrow is on Juju Smith-Schuster. And apparently, I guess the issue is if he might drive himself to the stadium or something. I don't know. Stay tuned for that.
And that has to do with the Sixers in some form or fashion.
Somehow.
Just okay. I got it. Meanwhile, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers because we're leading there.
Okay.
All right, so last week was the 3rd week that the Packers played without Aaron Rodgers. This after the Packers quarterback suffered a broken collarbone against the Vikings, an injury that may sideline him for the rest of the season. While the injury cost Rodgers the opportunity to play, it has done nothing to his sense of humor, as you'll see in this interview with our very funny man. His name is Kenny Mayne. You know, I felt like we were all left out of the joke. I felt like they had some funnies that we didn't know about.
Aaron Rodgers, he's got sort of that deadpan comedy thing going. You could tell the wheels are spinning. He's a funny, sharp guy. He can hang with Kenny.
He's a funny, sharp guy. I think he might be a Hollywood writer sooner than later. You know, he lives here in the off season. So I feel like he might be doing something in Hollywood later in life. What do you feel?
I could see that. He can go any which direction he wants. But as we heard, he wants to play till he's at least 40. So we'll see how that all plays out. Get off your phone.
I'm real locked in, David. Let me tell you what I'm doing right now.
What do you got?
Okay, so our top fives are top fives Allen's, and from my understanding, our guest judge isn't going to pick against me, so I'm going to make a plea for him right now, and perhaps I can win, because I feel like my list is unique.
Okay, we'll find out who's unique and who's not. So Grayson
Okay, you go
Allen
first.
just had 37 last night. That's why we're doing the...
I don't want to play this game anymore. I'm done.
No, you got to play. You got to play your hand.
Okay.
Play your
can't be a
hand.
spoiler.
A little cup of Joe. It's like a good time in the afternoon.
Wait,
for
we
a
have to
little
do a
pickup.
double kiss.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There.
Okay.
It's coffee in here, I'm told. So, listen, former Seahawks cornerback Byron Maxwell returns to this defense. Clearly, Richard Sherman out with the Achilles. What has Maxwell said about going back home?
Well, I talked to Maxwell last night. He said he was on his couch watching that same Thursday night football game where the Seahawks were playing the Cardinals. And when he saw Richard Sherman go down, the first thing that came to his mind was, man, you know, this is unfortunate. I was thinking immediately about what he's going to have to go through. But he said at the same time, I was excited. So he's definitely gone through a lot. But he said he practiced yesterday. Thought it was interesting that he said he doesn't think he's going to be starting right away. Jeremy Lane's going to get that first shot to replace Richard Sherman there on the left. They'll have the rookie Griffin on the right, and they'll have Coleman there on the nickel, Justin Coleman. So Pete Carroll said that even still, the fact that he's familiar, he's still going to have to work his way in there to compete and be a part of that secondary.
That's the way Pete Carroll tends to do things. Cardinals running back Adrian Peterson struggled against the Seahawks Thursday night. 21 carries for 29 yards. After we sort of saw him a resurgence with the change of scenery. What's going on?
I talked to Adrian Peterson yesterday, and he said, you know what, that game against the Seahawks was a product of the Seahawks. There was a point in the game where he had a one-on-one with Richard Sherman, and he said he made a one move to go on the outside. He said in that instance, I should have made a double move, made him overcommit and go on the inside. So in watching the tape, he feels like there are corrections that he can make to be more productive the next time they play the Seahawks December 31st.
Eagles running back Jay Ajayi had a great debut, 77 yards and a touchdown against the Broncos. So it would seem he's acclimated quite well to a new system. Why is that?
Well, I talked to a Philadelphia source last night, and they said one of the things that they did was they made a concerted effort not to talk about Miami. They said the Dolphins were buried the minute he walked into the door. They said, considered you trash. He said, and it's not like, you know, we just put him out there for 2 or 3 plays. He came out there and played. He ran, he rushed routes, he knew his protections, and he did all of that on just 2 days. So he said it is a testament to Jay Ajayi's ability to learn quickly and to keep that fire and to propel us forward, and we'll definitely need that against the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, he's certainly been a help since he arrived. No question about that. We have tipped the scales. We have covered 18 teams. That means we've got